Hey, it's Courier Girl, and today I want to do a 2020 recap of income and expenses. I was going to do this earlier, but I wanted to make sure my taxes were done and I had an accurate accounting of what I made and what it costs me to be in the courier business. So before I show you the numbers, I want to go over a couple things. First of all, remember that I only did this for a little over 3 months in 2020. So I started actually September 21st. And so that was like 10 days in September, and then all of October, November, and December. And also, for the first couple weeks, I was very part-time. I was still working another job, and I was doing it in the evenings. And I think I worked one weekend, the first in September. And so what you're going to see is that I didn't have a lot of income for September, and then in October it went up, and it went up in November, and again in December. So you have to keep in mind that when you get started, you're going to have probably a period like this where you get started and then you start to do more work and you ramp up. So we'll talk about that as we go through it. The other thing that I want to bring to your attention is that a lot of people, when they talk about what they make, they talk about the gross only. So they'll be like, I made $5,000 this month as a courier, but then they don't tell you how much gas was, how much maintenance was, anything that they had to buy for their job, business expenses. They don't include any of that. So their $5,000 may only be $4,000 or even $3,000 something dollars. So when you watch other videos talking about how much people made, keep that in mind because you want to look at expenses as well as income. All right, ready? I'm just going to show it all to you and then we will go over and explain it. If I can. It's not going to let me. There we go. All right, so 2020 income and expense recap. I'm just going to take you right to the bottom line because that's what you want to know. This is how much I made in 2020, $11,554.89. That is after all expenses. Now, let's talk about this because I want you to understand how and where I got these numbers. All right, so income, if you look at the income box, this is actually what I made in these months. Now, it's not necessarily what I collected in these months. For instance, in September, I actually didn't get a paycheck. I got it like the first few days of October, but I calculated what I actually made so that you would know. All right, so September was $578. I went full-time like the first week of October, and so you can see I went way up in October. November went up again, and December was over $5,000. And I have been at over $5,000 every month since, sometimes even close to $7,000. And I'll see about getting my numbers together for the first quarter of 2021 later on so that we can see. All right, so let's talk about expenses because those are things that are taking away from your income, right? I only counted expenses that I thought, okay, I wouldn't have had these expenses if I didn't do this job. So like auto maintenance, for instance, I would still get oil changes and maintenance, but probably every 6 months, not every few weeks. And the same with some of the other things. So we'll go over those. So auto maintenance was oil changes. I had to have some repairs done on both my car and my van. You know, scheduled maintenance, little things like that. And that was about $400 for the first 3 months. Now, what you're going to get with your auto is you're going to get an average. So you might have a month where you have $500 or $600. I mean, if you got to put tires on, you're talking about anywhere from $500 to $1,000 or more, depending on what you drive and what you get. And I'm going to have to put tires on my van soon, so I'm going to have that big expense. But this is what it was for the first 3 months that I was doing this. Okay, background checks. I was required to have a background check and a drug test for a certain job that I was doing. And there was a few little expenses in there, so I went ahead and calculated them in. So that was my total. Now, I haven't had any since. I don't anticipate having any in the near future, so I think we're good. So this is an expense that was what I would call kind of a startup expense. It's probably not going to happen again unless I work for different companies, but I put it in there. Okay, car washes. I, especially if it was snowy or if a bird got me, I would put my car through a car wash. And this is stuff that maybe I would do, but I'm not, the best at washing my car all the time. So I probably wouldn't have done it as much, if at all, if I wasn't doing this job. So that was about $50, not a big deal. Cargo insurance, the company that I work for, one of the people that I'm contracted with, deducts cargo insurance from my paycheck. So I took the actual amount. Now, this is something to be aware of because different companies that you work for deduct different amounts of insurance. And cargo insurance is not auto insurance. It is just cargo insurance if something would happen to the cargo that you're carrying. And that's one thing that you want to be aware of when you're contracting with a company. What do they charge, if anything? How much are they going to take out of your check? And some of them, like, this is a really good deal. Some of them charge a lot more than this. Fees and licenses. I had to get some kind of thing for my car. It was $6.42. So I put it in there. Not a big deal. I didn't have to get new plates or anything like that. I got those in 2021, so those you'll see on another report. And I'm only going to count them for my van because I got the van for delivery specifically, but the car I already had. Okay, gas. Gas is going to be variable, and since gas prices are going up, it will probably be higher in 2021. This is through the end of 2020 where, gas was still right around $2 to $2.20 a gallon. So now it's closer to $3. So you can see that gas is my biggest expense that I have, and that is very much dependent on how much driving you do. So I calculated all of the gas for the van and some of the gas for the car because I use the car for personal things too. Supplies. So supplies are things that I bought that I would not have bought if I wasn't in this business. For instance, I bought a dolly and a cart to haul things around. I bought bungee cords. I bought a couple totes that were specific to deliveries. I also calculated accessories for my car and my van. For instance, I had to get a couple new phone charger cords because I slammed them in a door or whatever. And if I wouldn't have got the van, I wouldn't have to get extra phone charger cords. And I got the thing to mount the phone on the windshield. I had to go through a couple of those before I got a good one. I counted my little things like my lunch tray that I like so much and my little Road Pro lunchbox oven. And the reason that I calculated those is because I would not have bought those if I wasn't doing delivery. So to me, that was a supply. That was part of my cost of business. Now, I just want to be really clear that not all of these things are tax deductible, and we're not talking about taxes here. That's something you have to figure out with your tax advisor. But for me, I'm counting it in this report because they were things that I would not have bought if I wasn't doing deliveries. Okay, uniforms. You might think, well, doesn't your delivery company supply uniforms? Well, yeah, they supply like a shirt, usually some kind of polo shirt. But I had to buy clothes that I would not have had to buy if I wasn't doing this business. And I kind of went overboard a little bit, not really, but you have to have a certain color pair of pants or a certain color skirts. I like to wear skirts when the weather's nice out. You have to have maybe a certain type of coat or certain type of shoes or whatever. And those are not provided by your delivery company. So I was doing deliveries for a few different people that had a few different requirements. And my wardrobe is pretty basic, I guess is the word. So I had to buy black and tan pants. I had to buy a coat. I had to buy some thermal shirts to go under my very thin Courier Company t-shirts. And I just put that all in because, again, those were things that I would not have bought if I wasn't doing this job. So to me, it counts. All right, then you get your totals. And I broke it down. At the bottom, I went by day. So I worked 101 days. That was an average of $114.40. And that is average of the net. So if you take $11,554.89 and divide it by 104 or 101 days, that's what you get. Then I did the weeks and I did the months, so you can get an idea. I mean, you can see my income went up every month, and this was the lowest one because, first of all, I only worked for the last 10 days, and second of all, it was part-time. So, but if you average it over 3 1/3 months, that's what you come to. And for just getting started in this industry, I don't think that's bad. Now, some expenses I'm probably not going to have again. For instance, I don't anticipate background checks and drug tests. Maybe in the future, but it's a rare thing. Auto maintenance, like I said, will probably go up when I need major things like new tires, and I'm going to need new brakes soon too. Although my mechanic does a great job of keeping my costs down. Fees and licenses, I'll be adding my cost of my license plates in when I get those for the van, not the car. Gas is going to fluctuate depending on how many miles I drive and the price of gas. Supplies, I don't really need anything else right now, so I don't anticipate spending a lot in supplies. Probably another phone charger cord when this one breaks. But, I've got my dolly and I've got my cart and I've got my bungee cords and totes and everything that I need right now. So will I have supplies? Sure, but probably not a lot. Uniforms also, I don't anticipate needing much in the way of uniforms. I will probably have to buy a couple of skirts or pairs of shorts when the weather gets warmer. But now that I have an idea of how many I need, I did buy a little bit too much the first time because I wasn't sure what I would need. This will probably be a lot less because, again, I don't spend a lot in clothing. There could be other expenses that I don't know about, and I will add those as I figure them out as I go down the road, but that's pretty much it. So what do you think? I mean, just under $3,500 a month on average for my first 3 months. Now, what would that be on the year if I would have done it? Let's just write it down here. So estimated per year, because I didn't think about that. So let's take F17. Yeah, I know, I'm doing formulas. And we'll do 3.33 times 12. So that would have been an estimation of $41,639.24 profit per year based on this average. Now keep in mind, first month I didn't make as much. The second month I was ramping up. So I'm very confident that I'm making well over $4,000 a month profit on most months right now. So that's where I'm at. I hope that you found this recap helpful. I will update it with first quarter 2021 data once I get my bookkeeping done. It's going to take me a little while though. So yeah, that's it for now. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. I'm pleased with this amount of money for just getting started and for having zero experience with this business, and let me know how you feel about it. Thanks, and I will see you on the road.